And number one of this particular series, TheCrydd going to be starting off as a Warlock, was going to try and go for a Tech Marine against Chaos Sorcerer here, but was actually vetoed away. TheCrydd having that second pick, so is going to choose the Warlock against the Chaos Sorcerer. Meanwhile, on the other side, we have Boogie playing as the Chaos Sorcerer. He was the first pick, so is a bit having to pick a hero that he's very comfortable with in most matchups, particularly in your first matchup, as being able to pick a counter hero or being able to pick second does allow you to have or choose your most strongest matchup, I guess. But so far, both players are just going to be going for a fairly standard thing. I have got the ESL running, but I can't really mention that to them, being an observer in the chat. But we'll see what the Chaos Sorcerer can do this game, see if we go for some early upgrades on the Chaos Sorcerer, and we'll see the same on the Warlock as well. Merciless Witchblade can be quite good to drain energy from the Sorcerer. Actually, I have a bit of a mistake here from Boogie. Looks like he's actually Doom Blasted one of his heretics already. Going to beat down a model. The models are fairly cheap, however, so not the end of the world. And so far, neither player actually running into each other yet. They're just kind of carving the map in half. Getting a nice diagonal line across, going for the powers on opposite sides with both commanders. Heretics are grouping up here with the Chaos Space Marines, and overall it looks like the TheCrydd is going to have the slight capping advantage there. Is actually in control of slightly more map there, having the center VP is slightly behind on VPs due to capping his natural VP a bit later. We do already see some Chaos Space Marines moving in here, infiltrated by the Tzeentch Worship there from the Chaos Sorcerer. Chaos Sorcerer also making his way towards mid, and the TheCrydd just going straight for the power farm. In fact, the power node is undefended right now, however does need to be careful with double heretics coming in for the flank. But Dire Avengers and Banshees already wailing away at that generator farm. No generators have been built as of yet. The double heretics are still making their way here. There are some Dire Avengers which will be able to spot this a little bit early. They are going to get into position, start firing at these heretics, but the heretics are going to do a double infiltration hit, meaning that they cannot be seen without getting a bit too close. There are no rangers on the field as yet, as this is the very first engagement. It does make it a bit more difficult to go up against Chaos Sorcerer in the very first engagement when he can just sneak up to you. But Banshee's actually going for a decap here. We'll be able to get the decap, but they will take some damage in return. These heretics will be softened up for them by quite a bit on their way out. Banshee's actually just opting to retreat straight away as opposed to even attempting to fight that. Two heretic squads are going to be a bit much for them to handle at the same time. The Warlock has been going around here. Destructor was used, but I'm not sure what Destructor was used on. In fact, actually, that was Fleet of Foot. Ooh, that is a very low heretic squad. If the Dire Avengers were a bit more brave there, could have potentially finished off that squad. In fact, that was the Warlock using Fleet earlier, that's why he was low on energy. But the CSM should be able to tidy up from here now. The Warlock opting to go for the VP as opposed to trying to jump onto the CSM squad. CSM just going to take some shells behind some green cover and should be able to beat these Dire Avengers fairly easily. Dire Avengers are going to get forced off the field. And they will back away there after losing these another model. Power node has not been rebuilt for Boogie as of yet. Meanwhile, the TheCrydd has actually got a full generator farm up at the moment. It does also have an additional power node on the contested power. Do have some very early Raptors here for Boogie. No additional units for the TheCrydd as of yet, but no upgrades either on any of his units, so it's actually going to be stockpiling some resources. You know what, Banshees trying to come around on the right hand side again are going to be met here with these Chaos Space Marines. They're not attack moving at the moment, so the Banshees are able to get in without taking too much damage, but Raptors are going to jump in, and Sparring Champion Heretics are on the field as well. These Banshees are going to be very overwhelmed and see them running away straight away. Are going to lose a couple of models. Destructor does get cast down. It's going to deal some nice damage to these heretics, but overall the Warlock is still going to be forced back away there. See him activating the Fleet of Foot ability. It's going to be an incredibly early tier 2 for the TheCrydd. Not spending any power whatsoever, just going for the triple generators and that additional power node, and just going to tech up straight away. If he can buy some time here with the Warlock and these Dire Avengers, can be quite beneficial here. Doom bolts are going to land on all Dire Avenger models. These squads are incredibly soft right now. However, we'll be able to get a chance to go back to base. The Warlock should place down a webway gate if he has enough red, but he does not. He has 10 red away, whereas he could quickly heal up all these Dire Avengers and be ready for the defense. Requisition points are going to be taken down, however this full generator farm is going to be a massive concern here for Boogie. CSM taking defensive positions. Chaos do rely very heavily on requisition, so it'll still be a good position for Boogie, but with a very fast tier 2 for TheCrydd, a fast Falcon or a fast Wraith Lord could be quite devastating here for Boogie. Can allow him to get, or can allow TheCrydd, sorry, to gain a lot of map control in a very short amount of time. We do actually have a very early Banshee Exarch going to be coming in. The Banshees are still going to struggle even with their leader against 2 Heretic squads and Raptors at the same time. It's actually going to be Rangers coming in here as well. The not tier 2 purchase, but the first purchase once in tier 2 going to be Rangers, not wanting to go up against that infiltration, opting to not get a fast vehicle here. Would have had enough power to have gone for a Falcon fairly easily, and would have had requisition as well had he not gone for the upgrades here. But we actually are going to have the Witchblade of Kernus here. It's going to be a really nice upgrade against these double Heretics. Raptors going back and forth here. The Banshees are going to get on top of them. Vote. Warlock is actually going to knock over one of the models as well, guaranteeing the kill there. Witchblade Kernus has now finished. These Heretics will need to be very careful. In fact, Raptors may go down here. Banshees will be able to successfully chase away there. And Warlock is going to activate the Witchblades of Kernus' ability there. That could be another dead Heretic squad. The Aspiring Champion is trying to get away, but the power melee there from that Warlock is going to be a bit too much. Chaos Sorcerer is also going to fall down. This is a massive loss here for Boogie. He's lost 4 squads now. That CSM squad potentially going to be the next one to fall, and Boogie is going to call back game. The Witchblade of Kernus there. So effective against Heretics when you're not expecting the ability to go off. That does mean that game number 1 here between these 2 players is going to go to TheCrydd. He will advance, well not advance, but he will be up 1 game in this series. And now into game 2. So Boogie was the one who got to counter-pick in this particular game. It was going to go for the Commando Nob, but was actually vetoed there by TheCrydd. So going to be switching from a Commando Nob to a Farseer in game 2. And TheCrydd, who had to be picking his commander first, going to be choosing the Warp Spider Exarch, a solid hero choice against all matchups. So always a nice one to have in your roster. Actually going very aggressive here, going to go meet up with the Farseer within the first 20 seconds of the game. TheCrydd opting for double Dire Avengers, not getting Banshees surprisingly, or may opt to get Banshees now. Just slightly delayed on the Banshees there. Warp Spider Exarch is going to fire away at that Farseer, but Farseer not really taking too much damage. I believe she does benefit from the slight yellow cover here, even while she's capping a power node, so doesn't actually take too much damage there. Warp Spider going in very aggressively there. He's going to get tied up in melee. We need to buy a little bit of time, but we do have some Dire Avengers coming in for backup. In fact, not opting for even the natural requisition point, just going straight in here for some early aggression. There are no Banshees to support TheCrydd at the moment, so we'll need to be a little bit careful here. Does teleport towards a defensive position here, but the Banshees are still moving forward. Banshees are going to take a bit of damage coming in here, but the Warp Spider needs to be careful. If he gets knocked over, he will die. In fact, he may just take too much damage outright and go down there. Some very aggressive fighting from both these players in this game. Guide has not been used on these Banshees here. The Guide was used onto the Farseer by the looks of it, or was used much earlier and has now expired. The Banshees are going to try and chase the Banshees of Boogie here. Banshees will be able to get into the face of these Dire Avengers. They're still trying to chase the Banshees though. In fact, this Banshee squad may go down here. TheCrydd may... he's going to lose another squad here. This is going to be a massive victory for Boogie at the moment, having taken down the Commander and some Banshees. The Commander has been repurchased already and is going towards the top side of the map. But some crazy aggression out of both these players. Boogie now regroups back at base, does have the slight advantage in terms of map control, did have this requisition point fully mature in the time of the engagement here, but we do see some map control coming in for TheCrydd, but I imagine that map control is going to be very quickly lost here. Boogie with the superior army should be able to take control of the bottom center of the map here. Farseer is just going to sprint right in, forcing these Dire Avengers off the field. Shouldn't lose a model there. The second set of Dire Avengers are going to come in to try and poke down a little bit, but are going to be forced off as well. Boogie is incredibly grouped up at the moment. Going to be unwise for TheCrydd to actually try and fight this at the moment, so just having his Warp Spider at the top, capping and gaining some map control where possible on the other side is going to be very beneficial for him. But Boogie should be able to get control of at least 2/3 of the map here, not having to contest against some Banshees. In this particular game, we're going to see Rangers come out of both players, I would imagine. Rangers on a map like this, which is very open, and also just Rangers be very effective against Dire Avengers, should be the choice for both of these players going forward. going to be a bit of an awkward one, as both Crackshot and Guide can be used, so these Rangers are going to be able to aim quite far in this game. What's Dire Avengers trying to do what it can. Actually have Spirit Stones coming out here for the Farseer. Banshees were healed back up to full HP, but unfortunately the Banshees are still fairly squishy, so do take quite a lot of damage. We also have the advanced targeters here for the Warp Spider Exarch, going to allow him to pick off models a bit more effectively. Should be able to try and level up more effectively as well. Dire Avengers being forced all the way back to base there by the Farseer. She's actually suppressed as well, so we'll take a bit of damage there from these Dire Avengers now. He's actually going to be forced into a retreat here. Going to be 2 generators here for the Crydd and 3 for Boogie. And so far we've not actually got any additional units here. The players opting to spend the early power in this game on upgrades as opposed to an additional unit. Dire Avengers are going to try and push in here. Do need to be careful, as Boogie has got the better positioning here, having this green cover placed a bit better for him, in fact. Warp Spider Exarch can try and come in for a bit of a flank here on this green cover, and with the advanced targeters we'll have the range easily to reach. Banshees are going to be back in the fight, in fact going in even more aggressively. They're going straight in for the top one. Dire Avengers are able to try and advance a little bit further forward, but do need to be careful. They are being focused down there. Warp Spider Exarch does have, in fact doesn't have enough energy, is forced into a retreat there, does retreat before the Banshees are able to try and do any damage to him. Don't want to lose the Warp Spider for a second time in this game. And both players look like they're just going to go for a fast tier 2 instead, neither one really going for a large army. In fact, most of the map hasn't been captured. This natural requisition point has been decapped for the entire game there. Both players just very keen and very focused on just constant engagements at the moment. Dire Avengers are making their way out of base now. Farseer can heal up her army there with Spirit Stones, but model does get picked off, so can't heal a dead model. Can only heal the ones that are alive. Warp Spider is going to take some cover there behind some yellow cover. Spirit Stones do come out to try and heal the army. Dire Avengers here for the Crydd are going to go on capping duties while trying to defend here. One squad defending, one squad going around capping. Farseer forcing these Dire Avengers all the way to base. Surprisingly not getting hit by the base turrets there. She looks like she got quite a nice position behind this yellow cover. Warp Spider is going to teleport to try and flank and try and counter her, but Warp Spider Exarch is also still quite vulnerable himself. Banshee's going to go for a decap here, and I think the Crydd will need to bring his second Dire Avenger squad here. He does need something else a bit more. Trying to fight on 4 units with just 2 is not working out for him at the moment. It looks like the gate ability didn't actually go off there on the Warp Spider Exarch. He's not getting that much energy back and does need that energy to try and teleport in. Only has 37, so only has enough for 1 teleport, and then will be forced into a retreat there. Cannot go in defensively. Power has now been neutralized completely here for the Crydd, and Boogie's actually going to be going into a mass retreats now. Now that he's secured that power, he's actually going to be able to load it for himself as well. It's going to be incredibly annoying. The Warp Spider and Dire Avengers are not the best at trying to bash down a fully peeled, or not fully built power node, I guess. In fact, the Warp Spider is actually just going to abandon the power node. It's just going to go straight for the bottom of the map. VPs are in favour at the moment for the Crydd, but with this Wraith Lord now coming out, there's going to be a Falcon that's actually cancelled in favour of a Wraith Lord. That's going to be quite brutal. We actually have generators towards the top side of the map, and so far the top side of the map has not actually been scouted by Boogie whatsoever. He's not actually had anything go towards the top side, with the exception of this requisition point, which has now been decapped. So we'll see if he actually notices this generator farm. He is surely going to notice it at some point, unless he continues his aggression against this power farm, assuming that this is all the Crydd has. It's actually going to be a full generator farm here for the Crydd. This is such an aggressive game from both these players here. A lot of fighting going on to build the full generator farm here. Farseer is going to spot this as well. Boogie is going to send his Wraith Lord straight there, I'd imagine, at this point. To have an additional gate getting placed down at the bottom side of the map. Farseer has not got enough red for an additional gate herself, though. Looks like the red may have been used on the far side, potentially. This power node only going to be killed now.
We have lost the structure to the enemy.
If Boogie is paying attention, he can try and go in for a renode once again to try and deny further power there to the Crydd, but we do have this Wraith Lord already on the top side of the map. Should be able to tear down this power node fairly quickly, especially if the Farseer is nearby to guide the Wraith Lord to give it an additional 30% damage. No additional upgrades on the Warp Spider either. The Entangling Web would be quite a nice choice here, given that he has no Banshees. Needs to do something about the Banshees of Boogie there. try and lock him down into place, and could always get the aspect of the Avenger upgrade on these Dire Avengers. Can entangle the Banshees and throw down grenades, force them into a retreat, or force them to take a lot of damage. TheCrydd responds to the Wraith Lord with his own Wraith Lord. This should be coming out of base fairly soon, but it does need to reclaim this power at the top side of the map though. Can't give that away to your opponent. It's actually going to be tier 3 for Boogie, deciding that he's got so much power at his disposal, is just going to go straight for tier 3. Doesn't have enough red, so he can't use the Seer Council call in the Farseer's global ability, but you can always opt to make a Seer Council. Just by default, Seer Council is going to be fairly hard to counter. Wraith Lord will be tying up the opposing Wraith Lord here. So far, no Bright Lance upgrades for either Wraith Lord at the moment, so no ranged AV attacks coming in from either player. No further upgrades on the Farseer. The Doom upgrade will come in quite handy against this opposing Wraith Lord as well, being able to force it to take an additional 40% damage against any sources of AV, should any sources of AV actually approach the map. Both Wraith Lords are just going to start chasing each other. There is still no Bright Lance upgrades for either of them, so they will just kind of walk around. But it does look like TheCrydd is going to have his Wraith Lord join this fight here. A grenade does go down here from TheCrydd. It's actually a lot more effective against his own units there. He's actually hit his own Dire Avengers, only losing one model, but still bring them down quite low, and is on retreat path of these Banshees. Could try and get a nice grenade here. Doesn't throw down a grenade, however, so the Banshees will be able to get away, and so much of the map is blue right now. It is belonging to Boogie at the moment. It is a triple cap for him. Does have the VP deficit though, so TheCrydd does have a bit of time to get back into this game. But tier 3 though for Boogie, and does have so much power at his disposal with 2 farms on the go at the same time. Seer Council is going to be the likely option, or Seer Council is going to be the option that I would personally go for here, but you'll see what he decides to do though. Alternatively, you could always save up and get an Avatar if you are feeling that confident, and given the way the map control is going at the moment, an Avatar is definitely feasible. Not much of the map is in control here for TheCrydd. It's actually going to be a Fire Prism. Fire Prism, a more reasonable choice at trying to counter the Wraith Lord. It's long range, and with its being able to guide the Fire Prism as well, can easily snipe the Wraith Lord at a fairly safe distance. There's still no upgrades on either Wraith Lord, which I'm quite surprised about. No Bright Lancers. Would have expected to have seen a Bright Lance or even a Shuriken Cannon to try and counter the infantry at this point. With the Fire Prism on the field, it may be optional for Boogie to get the Shuriken Cannon just to help the Wraith Lord combat infantry or chase it down. But TheCrydd still needing a Bright Lance or needing some sort of AV other than having to rely on his Wraith Lord to try and fight the opposing Wraith Lord. Does have a Bright Lance weapons team now, which you can crack shot to give it an additional 25% range and damage. Wraith Lords are going to meet each other now. And while the Bright Lance is firing away, nothing is there to actually stop the Farseer from just running in there. There is no entanglement for the Warp Spider Exarch. Wraith Lord is going to chase the Wraith Lord here, but the Fire Prism should make fairly short work here. Both Wraith Lords are just going to start smacking each other there. Meanwhile, Dire Avengers are going around the map. The Bright Lance weapons team is going to enter this building, but they don't have the range to actually do much about it. We do have some repairs coming in, but these repairs kind of going to get forced off there. Grenade does go down. I'm not even sure. That was a grenade from Boogie, actually. Does catch out one of his own models there. This Dire Avenger squad for TheCrydd is going to be able to barely get away. We do actually have the Wraithbone upgrade coming in, which you don't normally see as the first one coming in. Timefield gets placed down in such a position that only one Wraith Lord is affected. Well, it actually looks like both of them are, but Fire Prism makes very short work. Bright Lance weapons team is trying to set up here, but the Farseer is just on the backside, just being as annoying as possible. Wraith Lord is going to make short work of it if Bright Lance were to continue there. And Jerrington Farm is still in firm control there of Boogie. Bright Lance does lose an additional model there, and TheCrydd is in a very tough position now, up against 2 vehicles with only a Bright Lance as his source of AV. And losing quite a lot of map control at the moment. Is in control of the bottom side of the map, but or is in control, sorry, the top side of the map, but that control is going to fall over to Boogie shortly. Bright Lance weapons team is going to jump in, jump out. That was spotted by the Farseer, so that gate is going to get torn down there. Definitely need as many gates as possible to try and win this game through sheer victory points alone. TheCrydd is still ahead though, with 333 VPs as opposed to the 206 of Boogies, but 206 is still a lot of VPs when you've got 2 additional vehicles on the map. Fire Dragons are going to be the next choice here for TheCrydd, some additional AV to help combat the Fire Prism and Wraith Lord. Fire Prism is still level 1, same with the Wraith Lord, and still no additional weapon on this Wraith Lord either. Or none that I can see. See Boogie actually rocking the SPL logo as seen by the vehicles.
As ever, we serve the craft world.
TheCrydd is going to come back up once again, doesn't want to give this power away. The Water Spider teleporting into a shot there is going to be hit by that time field. Unable to do anything there at the moment other than get shot at. It's going to get knocked over there by the Fire Prism. Still no weapon upgrade here for the Farseer either.
One of our generators is under attack.
But Fire Dragons are now on the field. Some Dive Rangers are going to try and bash some power, however. Boogie is so far ahead in power, does have an additional 200 power banked up already. But trying to kill this power farm isn't really going to work out too well. Dive Rangers are going to throw a grenade at their feet, just actually knocking them away from their own grenade there. They are going to be forced into a retreat. Doesn't want to reveal the gates at the moment, but will lose an additional model because of it. Some grenades are going to get thrown down. Bright Lance Weapons team is going to get hit by that grenade, but squad is going to live overall. And there's not much on the field really to control these vehicles, and even if you can get hits onto the vehicles, there's nothing to stop the Farseer at the moment from just running up and tying up your units. Seer Council is now on the way here for Boogie. Still does not have enough red to actually use the Seer Council call, so it's having to build them at full price. But Seer Council are going to be largely uncontested here against the army of TheCrydd. There is no entangling web on this Water Spider, and even if there are, you can only entangle 1 unit at a time, so if Banshees are in the fight at the same time, only one of the melee squads can get tied up. Actually going to be a group teleport here coming in. We don't normally see this war gear too often, especially in a 1v1, but always a good choice, or always a fun choice. Going to go for a snipe on this Fire Prism, gets it perfectly calculated. Fire Dragon's going to be immune to knockback thanks to their upgrade. They do take quite a lot of damage in order to try and kill that Fire Prism, but this is a nice little engagement here for TheCrydd. Violence Weapons team is going to get tied up here, and this Wraith Lord is making short work of everything. Time Field is going to prevent any further slashes here from this Wraith Lord. Time Field affecting your own units as well as your enemies, but the Fire Prism snipe was nice. However, the Seer Council now on the field and ready to go. It's going to be a bit of a scary force to actually go up against. There are some webway gates light around at the VPs here, with the exception of the center, but at the moment Boogie is just slowly consuming the entire map here with his army. Map is beginning to look bluer and bluer. Some additional Fire Dragons are going to get purchased to help combat the Wraith Lord, and Fire Dragon's also been effective against all units due to their Melter type damage, but Seer Council do have range damage resistance as a passive ability, I believe, so they're going to be quite tanky. And given that the Fire Dragons are also heavy infantry and Seer Council deal power melee damage, Seer Council are going to have a fun time tearing through them. Our Rangers exiting towards the top side of the map. Some units will need to exit at the bottom side to try and capture that as Boogie sends his entire army towards the top side to actually have that Shuriken cannon now on the Wraith Lord. Finally a upgrade here for it. Meanwhile, the game does look very much in favour of Boogie at the moment. Time Field getting placed down once again here. Not sure about the placement of this Time Field, as the Seer Council and Wraith Lord are unable to attack in the Time Field, so they'll be able to stand there, but they won't be able to actually finish off any of the squads here. Dire Avengers are going to be able to get away there, and Violence is far and away there, but isn't actually able to reach the Wraith Lord. Wraith Lord is sitting just outside of range. Can use Crack Shot to increase the range of it, but you also need vision of the Wraith Lord to make it effective. We actually have a group teleport coming in, but this is spotted. Fire Dragon trying to do what they can, but Banshees and Seer Council on the retreat here. That is a lot of damage going to come in. TheCrydd is going to be the one to call GG there. And that's going to be a 1-1 series now, as it's all been tied up. The early aggression in that particular game not really working out for TheCrydd. This is a best of 5 series, so we will have game number 3 coming up momentarily. Oceans can also do some wandering on practice once these guys are done with their series if there are no more league games. But in this particular game, game number 3, Boogie going to be starting off on the bump side as the Commando Knob, TheCrydd on the top side as a Tech Marine. Map was chosen by TheCrydd, and Boogie was the first commander choice on this map, although regretting his decision to not veto the map sooner once the Tech Marine was pulled out. TheCrydd going to be opting for double scouts to begin with, then we'll get his tactical marines. Getting these scouts build slightly faster than tactical marines and also have the higher movement speed, so it does allow you to get your next point a bit quicker compared to your opponent. Meanwhile, Boogie going for the standard build of just double shooters with his initial slugger squad. So far the Commando Knob just being a bit conservative there, going for the power, but may see him just infiltrate at this point here, and we'll go in for a bit of early aggression. Meanwhile, tactical marines are a little bit delayed here for TheCrydd. And once those tactical marines are out of the field and he's got enough requisition, we will see the power node get placed down. Power node has already been placed down by Boogie as his units are a bit cheaper to begin with. Scouts already getting poked down there by the Commando Knob. Commando Knob does about 100 damage per burst there, and does have 100% accuracy while on the move as well, so incredibly effective at picking off early models, but scouts do have more than 100 HP per model to begin with, so unless the Commando Knob gets lucky and starts firing on the same particular model, you're not actually going to kill any in the early game, but you can definitely soften up the Scout Squad heavily. So already the Scout Squad on half HP, not really going to be able to do too much once the engagement begins. And actually have a bit of a power bash going in straight away. A Generator's already been placed down there by TheCrydd, but may get torn down. Already have the bigger shooter upgrade coming in for these shooter boys, gives them some increased damage, some increased range, and also gives them the suppression ability as well. So the power node is going to fall. Some scouts are coming in here, but these scouts are going to be absolutely torn up there by the shooters, so we need to be a bit careful. Surprisingly, a model doesn't die here on this particular squad. The lead model going to be able to tank those shots with ease in the Commando Knob. And these shooters are going to try and chase away. Both scouts are forced into a retreat, so we do have tactical marines on the back end here, going to be able to secure the victory points. Actually a triple cap here for TheCrydd very early on, so Boogie will need to be a bit careful. We do actually have a generator getting placed down on this left-hand side, but it's a fairly easy position for sluggers to go down later on, especially with the Commando Knob being able to infiltrate the sluggers as well. They can easily burn it down with the Flamer upgrade. Tech Marine going to be forced away here. The Tech Marine is going to be able to beat these shooters if he's behind green cover, but we'll need to get some of that green cover first. No power node on this power here. Sluggers going to try and do what they can. We have the shooters coming back in as well. The Orc ability again used there as well, giving it a slight damage increase. And there we go, the power node has been placed down. It's going to take a bit of time here for TheCrydd to tear that down. Cracking rounds has been activated, but doesn't increase the amount of damage dealt to the power node. I believe the power node is not considered heavy infantry. However, I could be wrong on that. Meanwhile, Tech Marine is still trying to come in for that side cap as much as possible. But already a big VP advantage though for TheCrydd, despite having a lack of power at the moment, or despite being forced to build power over here on the left hand side. It's not been scouted, so he is safe for now, but so far a 130 VP lead very early on in this game. And don't forget, while TheCrydd doesn't have this generator farm, Boogie's actually benefiting from this generator farm since it is under his control at the moment. Stun bomb does go down on these tactical marines. Once one model is stunned in the squad, all models are stunned, so even though this one here on the left hand side doesn't have the stun icon on him, he is affected by it as well. Meanwhile, looters and the Tech Marine here, just in their own little engagement. All these covers here are green covers, so tactical marines do have a good time here trying to fight these shooters. In fact, the shooters making their way over to the Tech Marine. The looters are still on the field here, and we'll set up in the center there. I'm going to try and deny the Devastators any ability to come in here. Have just enough range for these tactical marines, but Devastators are going to be a bit of an issue here. There is double detection on the map here due to the Sergeant upgrade on both scout squads. We'll need to be careful of retreat grenades, and the Commando Knob will need to be a bit careful about trying to infiltrate him. We actually have the knife upgrade as well, the Assassin's Knife. It does give you the Assassinate ability, which does deal 250 damage. It's very useful for sniping off models or even commanders. Does also have the triple shot ability, which allows you to stun a unit for a period of time, and the infiltration here for these sluggers. The scouts have both left the area, so able to get right into the face of these devastators. That lead model is going to fall there. And Boogie will be able to reclaim this position here, but still, this left-hand generator farm has still been undetected, so Boogie will need to check that out. Whenever your opponent has not instantly rebuilt their power farm, it's always worth checking the other power nodes in case they've rebuilt their power. A lot of players do tend to do that if they've lost their natural, as they will need to get back into the game. We'll try and rely on it either going unnoticed or rely on trying to defend the new generator farm instead. But this generator is going to fall down though. Boogie should realise that something is up at the moment, since there is no power node being rebuilt though. Commander Knob just going to be off to the side here. With the Assassin's Knife, the Commander Knob is going to struggle against these scouts, so the only issue, scouts are likely to be the only thing that he sees off to the side, capping a nice little ambush hit by these looters. They're focusing down the Tech Marine. Devastators are going to be able to get a salvo there, suppressing these looters. Looters going to be forced off there, and these double shooters going to start tearing up these scouts though. Grenades are going to get thrown down. These shooters will advance. Grenades were thrown down on the same spot. You always want to try and spread out your grenades as much as possible if you're going to throw them both down at the same time. These scouts are going to fall. One upgraded scout squad falling down there is going to be very helpful towards Boogie. That's one less unit to detect on the map. But the VP count is still a little bit low, 268 to 500, and even the sluggers there retreating away rather than finishing off the cap. Commander Knob is going to try and come in from behind here. These scouts are not going to detect it. These devastators are going to try and set up here at the mouth of the map. Triple shot goes in and looters are firing away there. The Assassin's Knife deals 70 DPS, so very effective at trying to pick off models, but isn't actually able to get that one particular model. Does not use the Assassinate ability, so the squad will be able to get away with all 3 models in tow. Looters trying to set up, but taking a bit too much damage, will be forced back into base. Do have another model already reinforced and ready to go. Another Commander Knob is going to try and fight these Tactical Marines. Commander Knob is a little bit frail at the moment with just 250 HP. We'll need to be a bit careful. So will the Tech Marine with 280. Commander Knob is going to potentially go down. 3 HP will fall there. Grenade is going to get thrown down, but is going to be avoided there. Suppression is going to get used by these shooters, but it comes in a little bit too late as Commander Knob has already fallen. This generator farm on the left-hand side though, still unspotted, and both players taking up to tier 2 at the same time, but the TheCrydd definitely going to have the advantage in tier 2, going to be able to spend a bit more power. Could see a very quick Dreadnought come in for him. He has on 80 power already, does have enough requisition as well, so a Dreadnought should be a fairly easy purchase for him to muster. Devastators hesitating there a little bit. These shooters may be able to kill that lead model in time, but the squad is still on the 3 models. They will be able to back away without losing any models themselves. And looters will set up there. War Truck going to be coming out for Boogie, going to allow him to gain a lot of map control very quickly. Slugger's also going to get a Knob leader. This generator farm has now been spotted. Commander Knob should be able to pick off some models. Scouts are not here at all. The squad may even go down here. The Assassinate ability could get used potentially, but it needs to be in melee range, so that one model is going to be able to escape just about. Devastators do cost power to reinforce, so definitely want to avoid losing models as much as possible. Don't always need to reinforce so that you have 3 models as well either. 2 models is generally considered enough. Generator farm is going to get torn down here. Meanwhile, Slug's trying to do the same thing. They're actually going to capture the generator farm as opposed to tearing down the entire thing, and the Dreadnought purchase is on the way. Commander Knob is going to infiltrate and go in here, so going for a decap. You can decap points without being detected, but as soon as the point starts going from decapping to capturing, the Commander Knob will be revealed and will take a salvo there from these Devastators. Actually decides to end the infiltration a bit early there to try and conserve some energy. Fire Generator farm has now fallen, and Dreadnought is now on the field, so Dreadnought should be able to make a bit of an impact here. Commander Knob is trying to do what he can, trying to kill one of those Tactical Marine models. Does use the triple shot ability down, the Tech Marine does stun him for quite some time. Now all the units are loaded up into the truck and are backing away there. Looters can be upgraded with a Beamy Def Gun to provide a high amount of AV damage, but doesn't have any sort of snare or slowdown against vehicles, so can be quite annoying. But do see some tank busters on the way. Tank busters with a war truck is going to be very annoying for this Dreadnought to try and chase, so it may be beneficial for the Crydd to get the assault cannon upgrade for the Dreadnought just to try and poke down some of these models, because with the war truck, units are not going to be able to get into melee range at all. However, having a melee Dreadnought is also very nice as a counter towards these sluggers with the Knob Leader. TheCrydd, currently with no generators at the moment, does have a Powner game placed down now, but Boogie is in control of his generator farm and could go for a fast tier 3 at this point. Commandos are incredibly effective. Tactical Marines are taking a lot of damage. The Emperor's Fist is going to go down, going to stun these sluggers and also knock them down onto the ground here. And we could see a retreat grenade. Grenade does get placed down, but due to the Dreadnought killing the models, actually delays it slightly. Scouts get away with just 2 HP. The Tech Marine is also going to fall in the same engagement. Stun Bomb goes down onto these Devastators. Actually have Vengeance rounds on these Devastators coming in this late in the game. Surprisingly, no Beamy upgrade though for these Looters, so Dreadnought will be able to get away there without taking too much damage. But Tank Busters is really bringing down actually to half HP. It's quite a lot. Tactical Marine drop pod is going to come in here for some further assistance. Some Vanguard veterans could do some wonders here. These Devastators doing a good job of tying up the entire army there under suppression. The Dreadnought is actually going to get into melee range, so it forces the double shooters into retreat. Tank Busters and Looters going to enter the war truck. One Tank Buster squad is not going to get inside the truck in time. There is one model at some distance away. It does have 18 HP, so the Flamer on the Dreadnought is not going to be able to do enough damage there, but Looters are going to vacate the truck there, and Tank Busters should be reinforced fairly quickly. Dreadnought will be forced away here. TheCrydd, with a lack of requisition points at the moment, does repurchase the Tech Marine, so he's back on the field. Some Vanguard veterans could do quite well here against the mostly infantry-based army of Boogie. Vanguard veterans are another expense. War truck is just going to drive straight in. Vengeance rounds is still on cooldown, but the cooldown is not that long. The Dreadnought is going to fall down. Devastators are going to get stunned as well. And BB Looters actually misfiring. They're firing at something else as opposed to the Dreadnought. They don't have quite the angle they need due to a shot blocker. Devastators will be able to successfully make it out. Their Dreadnought, as long as it stays on the right hand side, is going to be safe. Tank Busters vacate the truck but actually fire at the Tactical Marines instead, and the Dreadnought is going to get repaired up there by the Tech Marines' global ability, Blessings of the Omnissiah. These double Tactical Marines are doing wonders against these shooters, but they are reinforcing on the field though. Tech Marine also here as well. These shooter boy models are reinforcing just to get mowed down there. The Assault Cannon upgrade comes in now. Assault Cannon upgrade is a really nice choice here, and this is a perfect opportunity for an Assault Barrage as well, where the units actually enter the truck just in time. Sluggers are coming in for a flank there. The Dreadnought does lose its melee resistance, however doesn't necessarily need to worry too much about Sluggers due to them only dealing power melee damage. Dreadnought can definitely fight them very effectively. This Dreadnought is likely to fall now. Beamy Looters are setting up and will be able to get a shot in. Or should be able to get a shot in, yeah. One more shot should do it. No, it's going to require another one actually. They've not got the range. The reload time is a bit too much. The Dreadnought is still running away here and we'll be able to tear down that cover. Needs to keep on moving though if he wants the Dreadnought to make it out alive. May just die to ranged fire here from these shooters. 15 HP, 14. Where's the Scouts? The Scouts need to come in for a repair. The Looters are going to try and pursue it, but down to 8 HP. The shooters can potentially finish it off if they decide to chase even further. We'll be able to make it out alive. Where are these Scouts though? The Scouts are on the left hand side. They do re-secure this power farm, but definitely needed in the engagement for some emergency repairs to that Dreadnought. Not killing that Dreadnought though, that's quite a big thing here. Drop pod is going to be torn down here. Boogie is just on a ridiculous amount of power now with 380 stockpiled, but lacking the requisition to actually do anything with it. Sluggers will be able to make it out there alive, and Dreadnought is going to be under repairs for some time. Scouts are going to go off to the side capping again, but I feel like they should just focus on supporting this Dreadnought at this point. TheCrydd actually going to be the first person to tier 3 as opposed to Boogie, despite Boogie having the massive power advantage. 179 VPs to 391. Currently a 2-to-1 cap here for Boogie, but the VP advantage currently belonging to TheCrydd. And we actually have some Plasma Devastators coming out. Does cancel tier 3 in favour of the Plasma Devastators, and given that Boogie is very clumped up with his units going in and out of the truck on a constant basis, Plasma Devastators, if they land the shot correctly, could easily wipe a squad. Well, not wipe a squad, but could easily do enough damage to force them off the field at the very least. Tank Busters are firing away. TheCrydd is edging forward to try and get some repairs on that Dreadnought. Dreadnought very tanky there, level 2, but it does take a bit of time though for it to repair back up. Quadrinob has been spotted. Quadrinob is just going to fall down here. Getting a little bit too close. Getting a bit too eager there to try and go in. BbBoS are set up and are infiltrated. The Tank Busters are also fairly close by. P-Devs are going to fire, but actually hit some terrain there. And that Dreadnought is definitely going to fall down. One more shot from the BbBoS is going to be enough to finish it off. He's infiltrated Tank Busters and infiltrated Luces, just getting the surprise attack. The Dreadnought going a bit too far forward without enough repairs. TheCrydd is going to back away at the moment. It is currently a 2-to-1 cap in favour of TheCrydd at the moment, so while Boogie is asserting a lot of control here, is losing in VPs. Do have a capture coming in here, but the contested VP on the right hand side is currently under control of TheCrydd. The game may end up coming down to just pure VPs alone. We do have a second Dreadnought on the way here for TheCrydd. Second Dreadnought is still a good choice despite the amount of AV on the field, but trying to keep that first one alive could have definitely helped win the game. Some terrain though is going to get in the way of that P-Dev shot. P-Devs will need to advance a bit further forward if they want to get some additional shots in. Tank Busters are firing away. They're going to go for the Devastators though. Rocket Barrage not really dealing too much damage as it was only in a single model getting the shots in to begin with. Scouts getting tied up there. The Commander Knob has been repurchased. A P-Dev shot goes down. Does some nice damage. Maybe hits a little bit too, ahead, but still dealing some decent damage. This war truck is in need of some repairs as well. Sluggers are on the field. We have another assault cannon and the Signum armor here for the TechMarine. Going to mark one of those Slugger Boy squads. Oh, the war truck is driving into the assault barrage. Does a hot pickup on these shooter boys though. And we'll be able to drive on out of there. Does need to be careful though. While piercing damage is not effective against vehicles, it does chip away at vehicles over time, so this war truck will need to get some repairs. There is no AV as such for TheCrydd other than the Vengeance Round Devastators and Plasma Devastators, but neither is really a solid AV option. Vengeance Round Devastators can definitely be a solid AV option if you have a Librarian, so you can use the fastest ability on them so they don't have to have a setup and teardown time, but just as a standard setup team for AV, they generally don't have the range to do too much unless your opponent drives right into them. Drazor Farm though is just going to be torn down. Boogie deciding he's got too much power at the moment. Doesn't actually need any more scouts. Going to throw down a retreat grenade here. It's a nice grenade. Comes in slightly too early, so only catching that lead model, but does kill it, so always worth it. These scouts though are going to get detected. Actually getting pushed off the VP due to the truck driving too close to it. The repairs do come in on this truck now, and this Dreadnought is dealing some decent damage here from range. The assault cannon deals about 60 DPS there. Our Tank Buster is also inflicting quite a lot of damage there, brings it down to 2/3 HP. Now a triple cap here for Boogie. Does have the Commander Knob on the other side here, but TechMarine does have that Signum armor, but nothing to really counter melee though. Could always go for the Power Axe, but Power Axe is not really going to be the most effective thing. TechMarine opting to not retaliate, just kind of accepting being hit there with a knife. Commander Knob could use the Assassinate ability on the TechMarine, but doesn't actually get close enough, and these scouts should easily be able to force off the Commander Knob now. P-Dev shot is going to miss there. On this particular map, due to the terrain, you probably want to ground target rather than rely on the P-Devs to actually choose the best shooting scouts on the right hand side, but not currently capping at the moment, or decapping rather. TheCrydd only keeping them on there, but needs to be a bit careful. Devastator's trying to move in here, but Boogie is very set up on this left hand side. Going to try and slowly bleed out TheCrydd by keeping control of 2 of the VPs instead. We do have a looted tank on the way as well. Devastator's going to try and set up here, but going to be knocked down by these tank busters, but these tank busters, now they don't have that ability ready to use, the Dreadnought is able to come in a bit more safely here. Tactical Marines potentially going to fall down. P-Dev shots on top of these tank busters as well. Is this going to be a Venerable Dreadnought, or is this going to be Terminators? It's going to be Terminators. More piercing damage on the field. These Terminators could opt for an Assault Cannon as well, given that Boogie has gone for a very heavy infantry-based army. However, there is the Lucid Tank out on the field. This Lucid Tank is going to be able to just drive on up. These Terminators are going to be able to take down this truck here as well. Sluggers are forced off the field from earlier. Dreadnought is probably going to fall to this Lucid Tank here, unless the Terminators and Dreadnought can get a decent sandwich here. Retreat Grenade could potentially go down as well, but is not going to go down. TheCrydd does lack the energy, or the red, sorry, to actually do the repair global. The Lucid Tank is getting a little bit caught out here. It's now surrounded by units, and that's a lot of heavy melee here. It's going to be able to narrowly find a path to get out of there, but luckily it does have the reinforced placing as well. Terminators are going to teleport aggressively. They really want this Lucid Tank. This is the only concern of TheCrydd at the moment. Nothing to really finish it off. The Terminators could also opt... Oh no, the Lucid Tank's turned around. What is it doing? It's going to die before it finishes off the Dreadnought. Oh no. We do have the missile launcher upgraded here as well for the Terminators, which would have been used to try and finish off the Lucid Tank, but the Lucid Tank kind of sacrificed itself there. This path being a bit too narrow, I guess. Assault Barrage is going to go down, but it's a little bit short there. Dreadnought is really trying to be as defensive as possible with such low HP. Shooters going to be able to barely escape away. The BB Lucers unable to finish off the Dreadnought here, and some more units are flooding in for TheCrydd. It's 42 VPs to 162 Terminators. Going to get surrounded by these sluggers, but the Signum armor and these Terminators with their power fist will make short work of the squad. P-Dev shot goes in as well onto these shooters, and the Storm Bolters on these Terminators finish off one of the squads here. These Beamy Lucers are going to be next to full. They are so low at the moment. And this looks like he's going to be game here. TheCrydd is actually going to be able to win the game despite Boogie having a dominant force throughout the mid-game here. Commander Nob is going to try and do what he can, but... And currently there's no detection here for TheCrydd as well. But Boogie does call GG, losing too many units there. Kind of curious, how much power did he have stocked up? 435 power stocked up once the game was done, but... Wow, game 3 there, going to go towards TheCrydd. That Lucid Tank just unable to fit through the gap, I guess, at the bottom. That's incredibly unfortunate for Boogie, just getting sandwiched there between the Terminators and the Dreadnought. And now game number 4. Boogie going to be starting off on the bottom side as the Force Commander. It was his map choice and he went for the Force Commander in this particular game. And TheCrydd going to be picking the Chaos Sorcerer in retaliation to Boogie's Force Commander. Not sure what Chaos skin that is, or if that's a custom one made. I quite like this colour scheme actually, this blue and white. Looks quite cool. But Force Commander definitely is very strong against Chaos Sorcerer in the early stages of the game. Heretic's not really able to stand up against the Force Commander at all unless you want to give away a lot of free XP. At the same time, the Chaos Sorcerer in the late stage of the game can definitely be very useful, being able to lock down units with the Chains of Torment, with the Robes of Torment or gear upgrade, and definitely being very effective as well with the Rod of Warp Fire, doing plasma cannon damage, very effective at tearing through tactical marine blobs or even Devastators that have been set up. But we'll see what both players decide to go for. Greentooth Gorge, there are buildings dotted all around the map, very beneficial to Space Marines. Scouts can easily jump in and out of buildings against these heretics, so where they typically have to run away from this engagement, they can just hop into this building here. they can also walk past the building and run to some allied scouts and tactical marines for some support. Doombolt's going to go down here and see tactical marines down to half HP here, and the Chaos Sorcerer is actually allowed to get into the face of these tactical marines here. I feel like that engagement should not have gone that well for the Crydd, but it did. Wait, it didn't get a model though. One of the models there at the very back, I think the Chaos Sorcerer and Heretics were attacking a bit more. They could have potentially finished that off. Meanwhile, Scouts there with a very early shotgun upgrade, coming in a little bit too late though, as the engagement is largely over. However, the shotguns will come in very useful though. Fully upgraded Scouts are definitely difficult to deal with for any faction really. It does require a lot of power investment, 55 power to fully upgrade them. But they can do a lot of damage and can be a lot of fun to use as well. Chaos Sorcerer actually picking off a model there with his bolt pistol. Doesn't have enough for Doombolts. Does need to be careful that the Chaos Sorcerer is getting a bit low. We'll be able to back away just in time. Can also consume some Heretics in base to gain a bit more health and energy a bit quicker here. 450 VPs to 500. Crydd coming in with a VP advantage already. Could see a repeat of the previous game where it did come down to VPs early on. These tactical marines are very unhealthy at the moment, still on just a quarter HP. We need to rely on these scouts for extra combat potential at this point. As long as he can keep chasing, get right into the face of the Chaos Space Marines here. These tacticals can also assist from behind, from a distance there with their Kraken rounds. Shotguns are very effective at chasing units as you can fire on the move. We do actually have the Shotgun Blast coming in to try and buy some time here, and we have an upgrade coming in as well. The Sergeant going to get purchased. Going to be both scout squads that receive different upgrades. Generally you have seen Noisy in the past where he does go shotguns on one and the grenade on the other. But as a personal preference, I just prefer to get one fully upgraded and one not upgraded. Going to be Devastators, or Havocs rather, sorry, coming up for the Crydd as well. We'll see how they do here. Given the upgraded scouts on the field, we'll need to get an Aspiring Champion for some detection should the Infiltration upgrade come in on these scouts a bit later on as well. You know, Force Commander off to the side capping here, going to be uncontested at the moment. Does need to be careful of potential power bash coming in for the Crydd. He is actually grouping everything up together and is streaming it down this left hand side. Force Commander is on his way back. We do actually have the Infiltration for these scouts, but aren't going to get detected here by the Aspiring Champion. Crydd is going to slowly edge forward here, does have double Heretics for melee superiority here, and Havocs for range superiority as well. CSM are a bit far behind. CSM should be swapped out for the unupgraded Heretics here, so the CSM can just bash at range, even if it is slowly. Scouts are going to try and infiltrate once again, but should be detected by the Aspiring Champion Heretics here. Do need to be careful about infiltrating and uninfiltrating, as it does cost a bit of energy to start off the infiltration. It costs about 10 energy, I believe, to set it off. The other option, he needs to go in for a flank. We need to send the scouts around the long side of the map as well. Doombolts are going to go down, but are going to be avoided. Doombolts are very difficult to actually land on scouts in particular due to their additional mobility. Scouts going to infiltrate once again, but I believe they need to go around the long way if they want to try and get a grenade and want to try and interrupt these Havocs. Tactical Marines are on the right hand side here. They are probably needed in this fight here. Scouts are going to be forced off here. Heretics going to be able to force off one of the squads here, and the Crydd is actually going to go in for a capture here. 281 VPs to 500. Scouts are going to throw down grenades to try and defend the Journeys of Farm, but then that doesn't leave anything for the Havocs at the moment. These scouts don't have a shotgun here, so these double Heretics are going to be able to run in fairly effectively here. Force Commander does activate his Battle Cry, so he will be able to knock units down with each swing, but the Force Commander is going to get overwhelmed very quickly. Tactical Marines are here for some assistance, but the Force Commander overwhelmed is forced back to base. A Generator has been placed down here as well to try and give Boogie some power income, but the Crydd is massively ahead here. Will be even further once he does secure this Generator farm as well. CSM going to go and secure some more of the map here. Meanwhile, these Heretics are going to spot the power node and Generator here. Some ASMs have been purchased. It's going to be a very expensive tier 1 now for Boogie, and with the lack of power, an early Blood Crusher could be very painful to fight against. 235 VPs to 500 VP advantage belongs to TheCrydd as well as the tech. So this is going to be a bit of a rough game for Boogie at the moment. CSM are going to be forced off here. They are going to finish off this capture. They might lose a model though. Bolts do go down on these scouts here, but these scouts do have the infiltration upgrade. It does mean that they gain a high amount of health regen outside of combat. It's already regenerating quite a bit of damage that they've taken. Some well-placed grenades here can definitely turn the tide of this game. Some flamer upgrades on these tactical marines to help burn down the power node. 190 VPs though. TheCrydd is going to have plenty of time to take up and build up a strong army. He's actually going to go for a dreadnought straight away, so even scarier than a single blood crusher on the field. ASMs and tactical marines on the left hand side just going to be capping up a bit. You know, Boogie currently on 80 power at the moment. Does need an additional 45 just to tech up, and then we'll need to purchase some AV. We'll need to get some Devastators out on the field. A last cannon is absolutely required here, or a power fist on the Force Commander, but a last cannon being the cheaper alternative in terms of power, and probably a bit more effective as well. Devastators are set up once again. ASMs are going to jump in here. The ASM is going to be very quickly overwhelmed by these double heretics coming in. Devastators trying to set up once again. Double Doom Blast goes down. A really nice placed grenade though does actually catch out a lot of the army here. Havocs are going to be able to just about get away though. These heretics though could potentially go down. Tactical Marines should also force melee on them as well. But Boogie just having to focus on actually just winning the engagement rather than finishing off particular squads here. The Chaos Sorcerer is potentially going to go down here. He is very low, down to just 24 HP, but the Force Commander unable to finish him down. The Force Commander is going in a little bit deep here. Dreadnought is going to melee him down, but is potentially going to die to range damage here from the autocannon and the Storm Bolter undermounted. Force Commander is going to go down here. Going to put Boogie further behind as more requisition will need to be spent on his commander. Boogie's army regenerating back at base. Did win that engagement with the exception of the loss of his Force Commander. Didn't lose any models as such. And Boogie says he's through, or TRHR. Generator farm is just going to be torn down though by this Dreadnought, the autocannon being pretty effective against generator farms. Tier 2 is nearly complete. We could have a unit queued up here. It looks like some requisition did get spent, but even then Devastators don't cost that much requisition, so should have enough requisition fairly soon. Just needs 325 for the Devastators and the last cannon upgrade. Devastators are already purchased, has plenty of requisition to go. Double infiltration note from these heretics. At this point though, a librarian could be quite good as well here to try and help combat these double heretics, given the Force Commander is currently down on the field.
Adding support structure.
163 VPs to 454. The push with these Devastators needs to work quickly, otherwise Boogie will just bleed out in terms of VPs. TheCrydd taking a very defensive kind of position here, just keeping on 2 VPs as opposed to going for all 3 at the moment. Does have plenty of time here. So do see tier 3 game purchased for him as well. ASMs now have a Sergeant to lead them. The Melter Bomb upgrade has also been purchased as well, but they jump in a little bit too early. Going to be met with these Devastators, focusing them down. The ASMs are already very low here. Dark Flames getting used on the last cannon and these scouts as well. Havocs are just able to freely fire away here. The heretics are able to get into melee range of the last cannon as well. Shotgun blast has already been used as well, and the last cannon squad may actually go down here. They're taking a lot of damage. The heretics are even taking damage through dark flames to try and finish off the squad. The heretics will be able to barely escape there with just 2 HP unless these tacticals can get a single shot in. Going to be unable to do so, and overall the fight went okay there for Boogie, but the Havocs were not interrupted there. That does mean that TheCrydd is going to go to, 3-1 in this series. Boogie is going to drop down to the losers brackets now, where he'll have to face what is it? Local Ghost. So loser of game 8 is going to go on to face Local Ghost in the losers round 1 bracket.